Okay guys, today we're going to be talking about Adept weapons as they just dropped this weekend with Trials of Osiris. Now, Adept weapons are essentially identical to their normal versions. Take the Summoner, for instance, which is dropping this week from going flawless. It has an Adept version, but notice there's nothing different here between its normal random rolls and its Adept version random rolls. Actually, the only thing that makes this Adept Summoner any different from the regular Summoner here is when you actually masterwork the weapon. Not only do you get an increase in whatever the masterwork is, but notice that you also get an increase in the other stats, our range, stability, and handling. This is very similar to like when you masterwork like armor, right? You get that +2 in all of your other stats. Same concept here with our weapons. Now, I don't know if this is +2. I was told that it was +3. Dim is not actually reflecting that. We just know it's a stat bump of some sort. So on the surface, that's the only difference this Summoner Adept has over the regular Summoner. But now this brings in the main perk to getting an Adept weapon, and that is actually the ability to slot Adept Mods. Adept Mods also drop from the Flawless Chest. It changes each week inside of Trials, and when the time comes, Grandmaster Nightfalls in the future will also be dropping Adept Mods. And I'm almost certain these Adept Mods will be interchangeable. This week, it's actually the mod Adept Targeting. Adept Targeting actually increases your aim assist by +10, but gives you a -20 in stability. I know, not that sexy, at least on an auto rifle, but +10 aim assist would be really nice on something like an Adept Eye of Soul. So before we jump up and say this or that is garbage, understand that some of these Adept mods will net more benefits on a particular weapon type. I don't necessarily need stability on a sniper rifle, but I would definitely take extra aim assist. Now, there's a number of Adept mods here, a total of 13 as of now. So let's go over them real quick. First up, we have Adept Accuracy. I like this kind of Adept perk. Look at this. Just gives you a nice +10 accuracy, obviously to bows. What I like about this one is there's no drawback. There's no like -30 reload speed or anything like that. This is just a nice +10 buff. Our next Adept mod, Adept Blast Radius. +10 in blast radius. Huh? Okay. For those moments you want more blast radius. Hell yeah, fellas. Next up, we have Adept Charge Time for +10 charge time. Now, I know this doesn't really sound that impressive. The only way I would be okay with Adept Charge Time is if it does not actually drop my impact damage. You know how when you have liquid coils or accelerated coils on your fusion rifle, when you select one of those, it actually will vary your impact, thus resulting in accelerated coils dropping your damage and of course liquid coils increasing your damage. The question is what if Bungie will allow us to equip an Adept Charge Time mod without actually varying our impact, which is exactly what I want. And I know it says like +10 charge time, but understand that actually drops your charge time. So your fusion rifle will be shooting faster. So for example, Glacial Chasm, which has an 860 charge time, will now have an 820 charge time. I know it doesn't make sense. 10, wouldn't that just be 850? That's just how it works. Regardless though, for my Voopers out there, that one kind of excites me. Moving on to Adept Counterbalance. Oh, look at this, fellas. Increase recoil direction by +25. You want to go ahead and max out that recoil direction, make that SMG or that auto rifle completely vertical, go right ahead. The one drawback, -10 there in range. Now, that may not be the end of the world. Say, for instance, what if you got an auto rifle with a range masterwork? That would just literally cancel itself out here, right? And you got +25 there in recoil direction. Will it make that big of a difference? Maybe. I don't know, guys. I mean, this seems like minuscule differences so far. You can tell Bungie's really playing it safe here with these Adept mods. Moving on to Adept Draw Time. Oh, dropping on draw time for our bows. My question about this one, can it go past the cap or the floor, for instance? There's some bows, of course, say you got a draw time masterwork, and of course certain arrow shafts, you can't drop that draw time any lower. Can Adept Draw Time actually drop it past that floor? I've got questions, Bungie. I need answers. Moving on to Adept Handling. That's right. For those times that you just got that super so slow weapon, aka 120 round per minute hand cannons, bam, 10 handling. And let me just mention, you can double stack this with like a handling masterwork. So essentially +20 handling. Kind of nutty. Adept Impact. All right, now I'm interested. Now you've piqued my interest, Bungie. Where the hell are we going with this? Adept Impact quite literally increases our impact. Now, what does this mean? I don't know. +10 impact? You're telling me I can take a 140 round per minute hand cannon with 84 impact and elevate it up to an aggressive hand cannon? There's got to be some limitations here to where impact mods can be added at it. Like when we start actually pushing certain weapons over into entire new archetypes, that's kind of nasty. That is Adept level. I mean, we're talking about pushing a 200 round per minute scout rifle up to 150 round per minute damage. But kind of like our charge time Adept mod there, will shifting certain stats also shift others? AKA, if I decided to shift the impact of a weapon, will it shift the rate of fire? Huh? I don't know. Maybe? Which takes us to our next trait, Adept Max. Oh yes, plus 40 in our magazine. Now I want to paint a beautiful picture for my PvE players. Imagine the Swarm machine gun. Now this is of course Aztecross Fantasyland. I have one of those places too, Luke. But essentially, what if reconstruction could be available on the Swarm LMG? Combine that with a magazine perk and an Adept Mag mod. Of course, sliding this all with a damage perk like Rampage, maybe even something even juicier. You got the best LMG in the game, baby. Just a thought. I'm almost certain though reconstruction won't be on any other weapon except for the raid weapons. Moving on to our next mod, Adept Projectile Speed. Increase in velocity. Grenade launchers, rocket launchers. Hell yes. There are times where I'm like, damn it, if I just had more velocity, I could have clutched that game up. If only Bungie actually gave us an Adept Mountaintop. Oh, it would be perfect for this mod. Moving on to Adept Range. A nice plus 10 in range. Now that's actually really good. Like hands down, especially in this sandbox where range makes such a big difference on certain weapons. Plus 10 range on say something like Palindrome. Fellas, I'm having a hard time containing myself. That was already one of the best hand cannons inside of Destiny 1. Now you can slot it with plus 10 range and whatever other perks. And the beautiful thing about that mod is there's no drawbacks. There's no like minus 20 reload speed, or it's not like Iron Gaze or Iron Grip, right? Like don't get me wrong, those mods are cool, but the drawbacks of them are terrible. I love that this is just plus 10 range and nothing else. Moving on to our next mod, Adept Reload. Plus 10 reload. Looky there. And again, this may not look that beautiful or sexy, but combining this with say a reload masterwork, you got plus 20 extra reload speed. Moving on, we have Adept Stability. Plus 10 stability. Something that would be really nice on automatic weapons. Summoner this weekend would have been perfect to pair here with Adept Stability. But all in all, these are your Adept mods. Now, only one of these will be available each week for trials. I have no idea when the new Nightfalls are coming. I'm assuming it's next season. Maybe it'll come before then, but as of now, the only way to get any of these Adept mods is by going flawless. As far as to get these Adept weapons, the only way to get them is by also going flawless. Unfortunately, there is no way to really farm for Adept weapons. That's the biggest drawback here. You have an opportunity to get one Adept weapon each week on each character, and that's it. So you get 3 opportunities. Considering how many random rolls are available for Adept weapons, sure, you might have Adept mods and you might have an Adept weapon, but will your roll be better than what you already have? For me, no. I've got tokens and other means to obtain God Roll Summoners and Eye of Souls and Astral Horizons. There's no streamlined way of obtaining Adept weapons. You just get the 1 chance per week on each character, and that's about it. I personally think, though, that the way Nightfalls and Trials should do it is upon unlocking each one of these Adept weapons. Every time you go flawless or every time you complete that Grandmaster Nightfall, you can choose out of all the Adept things that you've discovered which one you want to be rewarded with. So for instance, if I discovered all these Adept Trials weapons, I could choose which one I want upon going flawless. Doesn't mean I'm going to get a God roll of any of these, but if I want to target the Summoner or target Astral Horizon, then I can do so. But let me know in the comments below what you think about that one. Maybe that one's not that big of a deal to people. I do know that this is something though that Bungie wants to stretch out. They don't want all of us to just get Adept weapons and God rolls of them overnight. This is something that definitely should be looked at as like a yearly grind, but I'm curious to know y'all's thoughts on it. So guys, that is essentially your Adept weapons and the breakdown of all the mods. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and good luck to everyone playing Trials this weekend. And for my PvE players, I really think these Adept mods are going to be interchangeable for Pally, Shadowprice, and the Swarm in the future. So you don't have to do Trials, but you might want to. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.